There's no mouse. Okay, ready? 5, 4, go live.
What's up, guys? I'm Faye.
And I'm Shin.
And welcome to Grammar Check, where we talk about grammar. We talk about different topics, interesting topics on grammar every day. And in this stream, we will be talking about infinitives,
The past perfect tense.
and the past perfect continuous tense. So let's get started.
So, let's get started on what are infinitives. So, infinitives are like verbs, but they don't behave quite like verbs. They are not the main verb of the sentence. They act as the adverb, the adjective in that sentence. So, to start this stream, we'll start and learn bare infinitives. Okay, so bare infinitives. Bare infinitives, otherwise known as zero infinitives, are infinitives that lack the to modifier before it. So, for example, you can have to watch, it just becomes watch. But you might ask the question, when can we use bare infinitives? Well, we use bare infinitives after certain modal auxiliary verbs, after some principal verbs, after the words rather, better, and had better, and after some prepositions. Now we'll learn about when to use bare infinitives after certain modal auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs that are included in this classification are the following: will, would, shall, should, may, might, do, did, could, must, need, and dare. So, an example of this used in a sentence are the following: you shall invite them, I must go at once, she can speak English, it might snow, and they dare not speak. Dare and need are a special case, because dare and need, as used as a principal verb or the main action word in the sentence, is followed by the to infinitive. They should not be followed by a bare infinitive if they are used as the principal or the main verb, like in these examples. He dared to speak during the conference, and we need to finish this project today. So, now let's go on to the next topic. After some principal verbs. So, principal verbs are the main verb of the sentence, or the action of the subject. Now, what are examples of these verbs? These verbs include bid, watch, see, let, make, help, and hear. So, for some examples of this, we do not use the to infinitive, but we use the bare infinitive when we have these examples. Let her go, not let her to go. Then we have, we helped him run, not we helped him to run. And number 3, we watched them bake, not I watched them to bake. And I bade him leave, not I bade him to leave. Okay? Now, next one, we have after, rather, better, and had better. So, the infinitive is used without to after the words rather, better, and had better. For example, you better leave. I would rather stay. You had better understand. You do not say these things as you better to leave, you would rather to stay, or you had better to understand. It's always with a bare infinitive without the to. Now, we can have after some prepositions. So, these prepositions that should be used with the bare infinitive are the prepositions except, but, save, and than. For example, we have you can do nothing but talk, or you can work other than laze around. You don't say it with the to infinitive, okay? So, now that we're done with the bare infinitives, let me throw it to my partner, Faye, for the split infinitives.
Okay, so today we will be talking about split infinitives. So first of all, what are split infinitives? It is an infinitive creating by placing an adverb, okay, take note, an adverb or adverbial phrase between to and the verb. So it is located in between the word to and the verb. So when do we use split infinitives? There are two uses of split infinitives. When the adverb needs to be emphasized and when the adverb doesn't work anywhere else in the sentence. That means the only location that the adverb works is between to and the verb. And then we can also avoid split infinitives. So why do we avoid split infinitives? We avoid these when the adverbs at the end of the phrase doesn't change the sentence's meaning. So it's unnecessary to use split infinitives when the adverbs are, if they are in the correct place, it doesn't change the sentence's meaning. So that is split infinitives. So now let us talk about the uses of split infinitives. When the adverb needs to be emphasized, for example, the sentence, they really have to watch him. So as you've noticed, the adverb is not placed in between to and watch. And it means it's important that they watch him. So take note of the meaning. Compared to, they have to really watch him. Okay, so now the adverb is between to and watch. And here it changed the meaning. It means they have to watch him very closely. Okay, so the meaning of the sentence changes depending on the position of the adverb. Or in this case, the adverb really. Now we have here the adverb really is emphasized, thus changing the meaning of the sentence. Second use is when the adverb doesn't work anywhere else in the sentence. For example, she used secretly to admire him, and I had no wish actually to read it. Okay, so we compare it to the second sentences. She used to secretly admire him, and I had no wish to actually read it. Okay, so compared to the first sentences, the second sentences sound less awkward. Okay? Now, there are some cases that we avoid split infinitives. So why do we avoid them? First, it causes confusion. Second, it changes the meaning of the entire sentence. And third, it sounds awkward. So let's have these examples. She wants to clearly visit grandma this weekend. So it sounds like it doesn't make any sense. The second one is, do you have to so loudly play? So it sounds awkward and sounds confusing, right? And the second sentence should be, do you have to play so loudly? Okay, so the adverb is placed at the end of the sentence. And the last one, the adverb of time, now. Why do you have to now go? So it sounds awkward, right? And then the adverb now should be at the end of the sentence. So why do you have to go now? That is the correct sentence. So we avoid split infinitives just to avoid confusion, okay? And it's not normally used in formal writing.
Okay, now that you have learned about bare and split infinitives, do you have any questions? If you do, just shoot us a comment in the comment section and we will try to answer them as we go along. So let's move on to our next topic, our third topic for today, the past perfect tense. Now, that sounds quite complicated. Past perfect tense? I thought there were only two tenses, or three tenses, the present, the past, and the future. Well, we have the perfect tenses and also the perfect continuous tenses to deal with also. So what is the perfect tense? So the perfect tense tells us the action happened once or many times before another point in the past. So to illustrate or to show you what I mean, we have an activity that was done in the past and was finished in the past before another activity happened. That is the distinction or the difference between the past perfect tense and the past perfect continuous tense, which will be later explained by my partner here. So remember, the past perfect tense explains that before an action was finished in the past, another action already completed. So let's go to the next one. So how do you actually form a sentence in the past perfect tense? So here are some examples. She had baked cookies before he arrived. So this explains that she, the subject of our sentence, was baking cookies sometime in the past before this person he arrived. So she already finished baking when he arrived. Next, they had destroyed the flower bed before I got home. So our subject, they, completely destroyed our speaker's flower bed before he arrived home. That means that when the person I got home, he saw that the flower bed was destroyed. Now, the question, had she ever visited Korea before she moved there? So, this she here currently is in Korea, but the question is asking, has she ever visited Korea for some time before she moved there? Okay, now how do you actually form the past perfect tense? The past perfect tense is simple in a way because we only have one predeterminer used, which is had. Had is what we use in the past perfect tense. So how do we form this? So we have the past perfect tense is formed in this format. Had plus the past participle. How about its negative? We have had not plus its past participle. Now, what is the past participle? Okay, so the past participle is easy to form for regular verbs. For regular verbs, we just add ed or d to the end. For like in these examples, jump, jumped. This is a regular verb. We just add ed to its end. But there are some verbs that are single syllable, like chat, and it follows the format vowel then consonant. If it follows this consonant, it is single voweled. It is a single syllable, I mean, and that it is followed by follow the format vowel consonant. You have to double the last consonant and add ed. So chat, chatted, two d's. Now we have the fix and fixed. If it ends in x, you add ed to the end. Okay, so these are an exception to the rule. Okay, if you have a word like prefer, infer, you double the er since it is a short sound at the end and it still follows the same format, vowel consonant. Now this is simple. If you have a verb like thrive that ends with an e, you just add d to the end. And lastly, if you have a verb like cry that ends with a y, you change the y into an I and add ed. Now what about the irregular verbs? So there's no actual rule on how we form irregular verbs into its past participle form. So just you need to keep practicing, read, listen to native speakers to see how these things are formed. So some examples are the words arise is arisen, catch, caught, choose, chosen, know, and known. Okay? Now let's go back to forming yes or no questions. So when you have yes or no questions, you just have to simply start with a had plus the subject plus the past participle. Like had Mike driven before, or question word questions. Question word, question words, the 5 WHs and the H, the how, when, where, why, who,
What?
and what. Plus had, plus subject, plus the past participle. Okay, so that's basically all you need to know about past participle. You just need to remember that the past participle talks about an action that happened in the past before another action happened, which is also in the past. Okay, now for the perfect continuous tense, I give the floor to you.
Okay, now we will be talking about the past perfect continuous tense. Now, what is this exactly? It is used to show an action that started in the past and then it continued up to another point in the past. So, two of these events happened in the past, but the first event continued, okay, up to some point in the past. And we have here, how is it formed? It's formed using had plus been, okay, plus present participle. So basically present participle verb plus ing, or it ending in ing. So we have questions that are indicated by inverting the subject and had, so we will talk further about it later. And we have the negatives. You just simply add not, okay? That means had not. We also have uses for the tense, duration before something in the past, so you can tell, you can say, or the duration of something in the past, and the cost of something in the past. That means it will show a cause and effect relationship. Okay, so how is it formed? First, we have a statement. We have had, okay, so I forgot to put the subject. Subject plus had plus been and the present participle of the verb. So that is for your statement. How about for your negative statements? Had not plus been plus present participle. Okay, so don't forget the verb ending in ing for your present participle, because it shows that it is still continuing, or the action is still continuing. Okay? Next, we have yes or no questions. So here in questions, for yes or no questions, we invert the subject and had. So basically, at the beginning of the sentence, we put had. So typically, we have the subject first and then had, right? But here in yes or no questions, we put had at the beginning of the sentence, plus your subject, plus been, and your present participle. Now for question word questions, as my partner mentioned, what, where, why, when, how, and question words. We have question word first, plus had, plus subject, plus been, plus the present participle. So it's very long. There are lots of pluses right there. Okay, so that is for your question word questions. Now let's have some examples. Okay, duration before something in the past, that means something started, okay? Something started in the past, and then it continued up until another time in the past, okay? So as I've said, both of these events happened in the past, but one is continuing, okay? We have some examples here. For example, they had been sleeping. Okay, so that is your first event, and it's still continuing, right? They had been sleeping for an hour before the teacher arrived. And that is the second event, before the teacher arrived. The next one, John had been talking to me before he answered the phone. First event, John had been talking to me, so it's still continuing up until he answered the phone. Okay, so that event particularly stopped the first event. The third one we have, how long had you been waiting to get on the bus? Okay, how long had you been waiting? This is a question word question. So that is the format of the question. The next, we have Mike wanted to sit down because he had been standing all day. So that is actually a cause and effect relationship, which I will discuss later on. And the last one, I had not been playing badminton, first event, for 2 weeks after I broke my leg. Okay? Now we have here the last one, the cause of something in the past, so it shows a cause and effect relationship. For example, John was tired because he had been jogging. Okay, so what is the cause? He had been jogging. So what is the effect? He was tired. Second one, Sam lost weight because she had been working out. The cause is she had been working out, and the effect, she had lost weight. The third one, she failed the test because she had not been studying. So the cause is she had not been studying, and the effect, she failed the test. And the last one, he got a headache because he had not been sleeping. So what is the cause? He had not been sleeping. And what is the effect? He got a headache. Okay, so that is it for the past perfect continuous tense, for the bare and split infinitives, as well as the past perfect tense. Okay, so a bit of an English fact. Did you know that butterfly was originally called flutterby?
Really? I didn't know that. Why do you think that?
I actually can't think of a reason, but maybe it's too literal, because what a butterfly does is flutter by, right?
So it basically is fluttering by in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah, fluttering by in front of you or passing by in front of you. So if you want, you can call a butterfly. If you want to be a little fancy, you can call butterfly a flutterby. And then people will ask you, what happened to you? Did you mix up all the letters? He said, no. That is how a butterfly should be called. It's called flutterby.
Okay, that's something new. Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, we learn something new every day.
Okay, so let's review what we've learned today additionally to that English fact.
Okay.
So, today we've learned about bare and split infinitives. So, we should remember that bare infinitives are used to denote, are used after in certain cases, like after modal auxiliary verbs, after some principal verbs, after the words rather, better, had better, and after some prepositions. You just need to remember that if you use these, you should remember that the modal auxiliary verbs that are included are will, would, shall, should, may, might, do, did, can, could, must, need, and dare. That's a lot. It's a mouthful. So, and then you have after some principal verbs or main action words like bid, watch, see, let, make, help, and hear. Okay? Now, after the words rather, better, and had better, then after some prepositions like except, but, save, and then. And you should remember that split infinitives are created by placing an adverb or adverbial phrase in between the to and the verb. Okay? Okay. Now we have the past perfect tense. So we use past perfect tense to tell that an action was going on and was completed in the past before another action started, also in the past. Okay? Remember that. And that we form the past perfect tense using this format. The had plus participle. Well, subject plus had plus participle. And its negative is made simply by adding not to the had. So subject plus had not plus participle. Okay? Now, the questions. For yes or no questions, we invert or we exchange the had and the subject. So we have had plus subject plus past participle. For question word questions or questions which you want a lengthy answer to, you should use this format. The question word plus had plus subject plus past participle. Okay? Now we have the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense is used to show or shows that an action was going on. So it had not completed yet, or it was interrupted by another action that happened in the past. Okay? So how do we form the past continuous tense? We do it in this format. Subject plus had plus been. And the differentiating thing, it's not the past participle, but the present participle, okay? Present participle. The negative is made by simply adding not to the had. Okay, so next, how do you form the questions? Okay, for yes or no questions where you expect your answer to be a yes or a no, is made by inverting or exchanging the had and the subject. So you start your sentence or your question with the word had, followed by the subject, followed by been, followed by the present participle. Now the question word answers, and again, question word answers, you expect to get a lengthy answer. You start with a question word, had plus subject plus been plus present participle. Okay, remember that. For past perfect tense, we use the past participle, and for the past perfect continuous tense, we use the present participle and an additional been in between the had and the present participle. Okay, so that was a quite tiring session for grammar today.
Yeah.
Okay, but I hope you learned something new. I certainly did. I never knew that it was called a flutterby. Thanks for that. Okay, so anyway, so don't forget that please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more of Grammar Check and English facts. Well, see ya. Bye.